Hey everyone, before we get started with today's game, just wanted to tell you that we are excited to take part in the second edition of the best trivia calendar in the history of the world. That's right, our friends Jonathan Oakes from Oakes Media Group and Katie Sikelski over at The Inkling have invited us, Triviality, to submit 1 week full of questions for the 2021 Everyday Q&A Trivia Calendar. If you would like to order this calendar, you can go to triviacalendar.net. And once you get it in the mail, you will see 1 week full of questions in our Triviality style. We hope that you figure out what those questions are and maybe try to figure out which hosts wrote them. But if you'd like to order that calendar, which we very much encourage, please go to triviacalendar.net. And thank you once again to Katie and Jonathan for including us this year.
Recorded in Chicago, Illinois, with your hosts, Ken, Matt, Neal, and Jeff. This is Triviality. The cream of the crop!
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and welcome to Triviality, the game where a lack of seriousness meets a little bit of knowledge. My name is Neal, and I'm joined here by my fellow Mouseketeers, Matt and Ken. How are you both?
I'm doing good.
Oh, good. I thought your name was Truman for a second.
It was until I can find the boat and get to the edge of the soundstage and leave. At least I'll be Truman until then. But Jeff, I don't think is here yet. He's on his way. He was at an ionized hydration factory trying to make some of his own bottled water, and not really sure how that's going to go down, but we'll see if he's quenched his thirst by the time he gets here.
Have you been watching that Zac Efron show too?
Down to Earth? Well, I mean, I've always known Zac Efron to be down to earth, but now I'm glad that there's a show to tell me that he is.
Oh, okay, because they go to a water treatment plant. It's a pretty good show. I like the blatant Visa advertisements.
Does he do?
It's like every time he buys something, there's like a close up of the card swiping. It's really wild.
Does he do like the splits and then hold up an American Express 2 and say never leave home without it?
I don't think it goes that far, but it's pretty clear that this show's sponsored by Visa and Ruka clothing because he only wears Ruka.
Oh, that's really funny. I think Matt will appreciate this, but speaking of Zac Efron and High School Musical, there's a great meme going around with Corbin Bleu, and in High School Musical 2, there's a whole scene where he's like really tough, and he's like, I don't dance, and then 5 minutes later, there's a huge dance number that he's the main person. It's really good. But we have a very special guest with us today. He is a Universal Champion on Patreon, and we appreciate his support. We were very excited to have him here to host a game that he wrote for us. And coming to us from Kansas, that is James Campbell. How's it going, James?
Well, thank you, Neal.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you've been up to?
As far as up to, not a whole lot. I'm kind of in the same boat as everyone else. It's kind of mid-shutdown still. But primarily, I am an attorney here in Kansas, and I do predominantly criminal defense. So I represent people in state court, and then also I do a lot of federal criminal defense work.
Well, I remember you were telling us that through the messenger, and it's just great work that you're doing. And what's funny is you are joining a long line of Triviality listeners who are on our council now. So we're pretty much like a Fortune 500 company with just as many lawyers, but zero of the crime. Oh, and it looks like Jeff is back from the ionized hydration center. Jeff, have you quenched your thirst?
Always.
Good. That's what we want to hear. Well, James is here. He wrote a game. It's going to be a full game. We're going to have teams of Matt and Jeff versus myself and Ken. But before we get to team names and get to the game, let's throw it to the rules guy and see if he can read the rules in his best lawyer end of the court day final closing arguments voice.
The rules of the game are simple. 20 questions split into 2 rounds worth 10 points apiece. At halftime, there'll be a special swing round designed by this week's host. After regulation, players will enter the final round with the points that they've accumulated and will have a chance to wager 0 to 30 points on 5 categorized questions. At the end of the game, someone will be named the cream of the crop.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
I noticed that most of his readings sound identical.
For some reason, every lawyer in pop culture is from the deep south, Ken, is what it sounds like.
I would give that 3 finches.
There you go. Looks like it's going to be Matt and Jeff, as I said. Any ideas on a team name over there?
Yeah, I think we can name ourselves after my favorite lawyer, and we'll be the Saul Goodmen.
The Saul Goodmen. I like it. And one of my favorite terms, I'm a huge Michael Connelly fan. He's my favorite author, and I love all the Lincoln Lawyer books, which help me learn about law, since I'm definitely not a lawyer. But one of my favorite terms in all of his books is voir dire, Is that how you say it, James?
I'm in Kansas. It is very often voir dire here, but voir dire is correct.
Voir dire. All right, well, we'll be voir dire, which is the legal phrase for picking the jury, I believe.
It means my dear.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My
The voir dire
That's what we'll be,
hunter.
Ken. We'll be my dear voir dire. All right. Well, James, feel free to take a hold of the ship and run with it.
All right. As I think I had told you guys before, one of the ways I got into hosting trivia is I do an annual competition between the University of Kansas and Washburn University Law Schools. And this is an adapted category from that for the first round. The questions will all be dealing with worst of the best. So your first 10 questions are going to be worst of the best. Question number 1, in movies. According to Rotten Tomatoes, many Academy Award-winning Best Pictures weren't that good. Most of the worst-rated winners were early, but since 1955, what is the worst-rated winner at 58%? This 1986 movie had 2 major stars and beat out The Color Purple, Kiss of the Spider-Woman, Prizzi's Honor, and Witness, all of which scored higher on the website. Even though poorly reviewed, the movie wasn't a continental failure. It grossed $227.5 million. What is the name of this film?
All right. Ken, I think I can lock in on this one just from my birth year.
Okay, yep. Just as long as you caught the note that it beat Spielberg's The Color Purple. So.
It did. Spielberg's Color Purple had 11 nominations and didn't win, and only shares that feat with The Turning Point with Shirley MacLaine with 11 nominations and 0 wins.
All right. Jeff, I said Crash immediately, and then you said a year, and then I knew I was wrong. 'Cause Crash is usually the answer when you talk about bad Academy Award winners. I have no idea on this one. Do you?
I do actually. I don't know if you remember a while back, I wrote a final round that was all Best Picture winners that had beaten Steven Spielberg films.
No.
So
that's very, very convenient for this question.
it is very convenient. So I remember the one for The Color Purple that was beaten by Out of Africa. So I think it's Out of Africa.
Toto's Out of Africa. Got it.
Yeah, I believe the 2 stars he was talking about are Robert Redford and Meryl Streep, and we also said Out of Africa.
And points all around. It was Out of Africa. That was not a continental failure.
Oh, see, there's more clues that we didn't use probably.
On to question 2, presidential politics. Which president received the lowest percentage of the popular vote in the election he won?
I think I know, Matt.
All right, we'll lock in.
Yeah, so I think the thing we're looking for here is an election that was split pretty heavily. And I want to say that when Teddy Roosevelt came back in the election of, it would have been, 1912, he split the ticket pretty heavily against Taft, allowing Woodrow Wilson to win. So I'm going to guess Woodrow Wilson.
And I went with Truman due to the Dewey defeats Truman headline.
No points in this one. You had to go back a little further. It was actually John Quincy Adams, who only got 30.92% of the popular vote. Second was Abraham Lincoln at 39.65%, but you guys were on the right track with third-party candidates. Woodrow Wilson was next at 41%, Bill Clinton at 43% when he won his first election because of...
Ross Perot.
Thank you, Ross Perot.
Mm-hmm.
Question number 3 is economics. The Group of Seven, or G7 as it is commonly called, is an international intergovernmental organization consisting of 7 major countries, which are some of the largest economies in the world. What member of the G7 has the lowest gross domestic product, or GDP, which estimates the size of the economy and growth rate? Conversely, it is the largest in terms of area.
We are locked in.
Okay, Ken,
All right, that's good because I want to discuss. So G7, I honestly can't say I'm too positive about the members, but I said maybe Australia. That's a huge country.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at what, like Australia, Italy, Germany, France, Britain, Great Britain. So I don't even know if Russia is in that, but I would assume their GDP is larger than Australia. So I like Australia. That seems logical.
Yeah, it seems like it might have a smaller GDP compared to the size. So that's all we're going off of. So let's lock in with that.
All right, so they're locked in with Australia. And it's funny, Neal, because you named all of the members, but replaced the one that I think is the answer with Australia. I think Canada is part of the G7, and I'm pretty sure Canada is very large. So we locked in with Canada.
Points for Saul Goodman on that. Canada is, in fact, the correct answer. The problem with picking Australia is the United States is actually in the G7, and we are larger than Australia. So they wouldn't have been the largest in terms of size. Question number 4 is sports.
Hooray.
This member of the NBA Basketball Hall of Fame was an all-time great and holds many records. However, he has one of the worst free throw percentages in history. He went to the line 11,862 times in his career and missed a staggering 5,805 times, a 51.1% average. This former Jayhawk may have done better if he had used something to artificially make him even taller than his 7'1" height.
We can lock in.
Okay, so Jayhawk, so that's University of Kansas.
I sent Shaq to Neal. What do you think of Shaq?
Well,
I know he was bad at free throws.
Well, it's definitely not Shaq because he was saying he was a Jayhawk, which is Kansas, and Shaq was LSU.
Which are the
Tigers.
Hey, there you go.
And I just think of Shaq in Blue Chips, the great Nick Nolte movie. Oh man, I don't know who would be bad at free throws. That was
you take it, Neal.
7'1". I don't know. This is incorrect because he was a great shooter, but I can't think of anyone. Ken, I'm sorry. So we'll just say Dirk Nowitzki. It's wrong, but
yeah, Dirk was a good free throw shooter. It's funny how these guys that are so big are so bad at free throws, and they say a lot of times it's because their hands are so big that they have a hard time palming and shooting or getting any touch on such a short shot like that. But I'm pretty sure that this is Wilt Chamberlain. He's pretty notorious for being terrible at free throws. So he said Wilt Chamberlain.
Wilt Chamberlain is the correct answer. He was Wilt the Stilt, hence the artificially make him taller than his 7'1" height. So 10 more points for Saul Goodman. Question number 5 is in business. For 2019, which company was ranked 500 on the Fortune 500? Ironically, they weren't 501.
No idea.
I have no idea.
On the hint.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I like it. Locked in.
Oh, wow. Okay, so do you have any idea, Ken?
I do not know where the 500 reference or the 501 reference is.
I don't. 501. I just don't. I have no idea what that means. I don't. Do you have a guess of just a random company? Because I can't even think of one off the top of my head.
I don't know. Apple.
Okay, we'll go Apple.
Jeff, you answered it. Why don't you tell the people?
Famous for their 501 jeans. We're going to guess Levi.
Oh, man.
Levi Strauss is, in fact, the correct answer. And 10 more points for Saul Goodman. And no points for my dear voir dire.
Yeah, after 5 questions, it looks like it's 40 points for Saul Goodman and only 10 for my dear voir dire.
Moving along to question number 6, the category is pets. According to the American Kennel Club, this has been the most popular breed of dog in the United States every year since 1991. However, this breed has never won at the Westminster Dog Show, although it may have won in Canada. Name the breed.
All right, so you're locked in over there, right, Matt, Jeff?
Yep.
Do you have any idea, Ken? I mean, the Canada clue, first I was thinking of Golden Retriever, but I don't know if that has anything to do with Canada. I know there's Newfoundland in Canada, the territory or area, and that's a dog, right? I think.
Yeah, the Newfie.
The Newfie. Do you want to go with that?
Yeah, I don't want to say I have too much confidence on this dog breed question. So,
your specialty.
Yeah, let's go with that then. The Newfoundland.
Matt and I talked briefly about it, and right next to Newfoundland is a place called Labrador. So we think this is the Labrador Retriever or Lab.
The Labrador Retriever is correct, and Saul Goodman continue on their streak.
Oh man, this
can't catch a break today, Neal.
I know we're getting just killed here. It's
smoked. Yeah.
Now we have question number 7 in music. Cleveland is home to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. As of September 19, 2019, Cleveland.com ranked every number 1 song in the 2010s from worst to best. What song initially wiggled into the list as the worst? You would expect better from a duo related to Motown Records founder Berry Gordy.
All right, so they're locked in. I know that the guys from Neal's favorite band, LMFAO, right? Is that the name of the band? I think they're nephews of Berry Gordy or something like that. And then we were trying to figure out the name of the song. I said Party Rock. You thought that sounds like an anthem. So I think that
I'm pretty sure it's Party Rock Anthem.
Yeah, what I call it is the song that was playing in every single bar that I walked into in 2010 for like 4 months, no matter which bar, no matter what time. So yeah, Party Rock Anthem, locked in.
All right, I'm not good enough with pop music to know if this is the same song or not, but the one where they go wiggle, 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 because he said it wiggled into the top spot, is Sexy and I Know It, or I'm Sexy and I Know It.
LMFAO, Sexy and I Know It. It wasn't Party Rock Anthem, although it also made the list.
Is there really a wrong LMFAO song, though, if you think about it? They're all so good.
Moving on to technology for question number 8. Google is the top search engine in the world with over 73% of all searches. What friendly search engine is second?
So we're looking for a friendly search engine, Ken.
We can lock in.
They're locked in. Okay. So Ken, what search engine do you find friendly?
The one named after one of the friends from Friends, and that would be Bing.
Oh, that's right. I was going to say the search engine from No Country for Old Men, friendo.com, but yes, that makes sense.
Yeah. Could it be any more search engine? I don't know. We said Bing.
Bing at 7%. Yahoo comes in at 3.4%, and then DuckDuckGo at 1.5% and climbing. For our 9th question, we're going to fast food. Started in Kansas in 1916 and generally credited as the country's first fast food chain, what company finished 50th in the Quick Service Restaurants 50 for 2019? It was a very popular destination in 2004.
Locked in.
Oh, geez. It was 2004. It was a quick service. I don't know, Ken. Does the 2004...
Did you catch any hints in there? What did he say that sounded weird that jumped out to you?
I don't know. I was thinking, as soon as you started talking about fast food, I was thinking of other fast food, and then my brain got clouded. Why? What do you have?
All right, so I think the popular destination in 2004 is a hint. I think Carl's Jr. was widely considered. Oh, wait a minute. 2004 Harold and Kumar, maybe?
No.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it's got to be White Castle then, right?
All right. Yeah, White Castle.
Come on.
That's upset.
Yeah. I always remember that the weird fact that White Castle is like one of the first, or credited as the first fast food place. But yeah, it's very popular from that movie. A lot of people didn't even think that White Castle was a real fast food place. Some people thought they made it up for the movie, but we said White Castle.
White Castle is that popular destination from Harold and Kumar. And to finish up round 1, question 10 is in colleges and universities. Although it is called the Big Ten, the conference actually has 14 schools. Ohio State is the largest with a total enrollment of over 60,000. Name two of the three smallest in the conference in terms of enrollment.
All right. So being as the only person here who went to a Big Ten school, I'll just lock in Ken just for us.
Okay, so we kind of were shooting a couple around. We think Rutgers is one of them. It's in New York, I think, but I think it's kind of a smaller school. We said Maryland, Nebraska we talked about. And then we kind of came to Northwestern, which is a pretty selective school, and I don't think they have that many people on campus. Evanston's not that big of a place, so I think we are going to lock in with Northwestern and Rutgers.
Okay, so I was on the same train of thought as Matt. I know Iowa is pretty small. It's not like small, but like maybe 20 to 25,000. So we put Iowa for sure. And it was between, I think Nebraska is also pretty small. It might even be smaller than Iowa, possibly. But for our official answers, we went Northwestern, which I don't even think breaks 10,000, and then Iowa.
Northwestern is the smallest at 22. Nebraska is next at 25. And Iowa is the third at 31. The next closest is Maryland with 41,000.
Wow.
I was not expecting that.
No, not at all. Should have stuck with Nebraska. Dang. That's okay.
I thought Nebraska was bigger because it was a state school. Maybe I just think Rutgers are small because their programs suck for sports.
Yeah.
After the first round, it looks like my dear voir dire only picked up 50 points, unfortunately, and in the lead is Saul Goodman with 70 points.
All right, so that's going to lead us into the swing round, and it looks like we got a bit of an audio upgrade over there on your end. Moved around the house, and now we're in a much cleaner area, it seems like, James.
Hopefully so.
Sounds a lot better. What do you have for us today for the swing round?
All right, the swing round today is called the Stableford Wives. In golf, there's a modified Stableford scoring method where instead of counting strokes, you get points for good scores and lose points for bad scores. The system rewards taking risks, but there are penalties if the risk doesn't pay off. For this swing round, we have adapted that method for trivia. You will be given a series of 10 questions about TV wives. There will be one question about a sitcom and one question about a drama for each decade from the 70s to the 2010s. For each question, you can choose to pass. If you do, you receive 1 point. If you get the name of the show correct, you earn 3 points. And if you get the full name of the character correct, you earn 5 points. To get the full 5 points, you have to have the full name of the character. However, if you guess incorrectly about the name of the show, you lose 1 point. If you miss the name of the character or you don't get the full name correct, you lose 2 points. Thus, there is much to gain, but are you willing to risk losing points? Again, no guess, +1. Name of show correct, +3. Miss, -1. Full name of character correct, +5. Miss, -2. Here are your questions. I will identify the decade. The sitcom will always come first. For the 70s, this wife of Howard in a sitcom on ABC from 74 to 84 was also the mother of Richie and Joni. The drama. A wife and mother on a show set during the Great Depression in rural Virginia that ran on CBS from 1972 to 1981. She raised 7 children and had an 8th that died in childbirth. The family lived on an ancestral mountain. For the 80s, a spin-off from a skit on a popular variety show and set in Raytown, a suburb of Kansas City, Missouri. This family show ran from 1983 to 1984 on CBS and in syndication from 1986 to 1990. The star of the show was also a one-hit wonder with her song, The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia. Drama. She was the matriarch of a wealthy oil family on this popular 80s drama, was the wife of John Ross, also known as Jock, and the mother of 3 sons who were often fighting amongst themselves. The show aired from 78 to 91 on CBS. The actor who played this character was also in the original Broadway cast of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof in 1955 and appeared in the movie Vertigo in 1958. The 90s. Part of ABC's Friday night lineup from September of 1989 until July of 1998, although it did change to CBS for its final year. This show was a spin-off of Perfect Strangers and featured this wife of Carl, played by Jo Marie Payton, until the final 8 episodes when Julianne Elder took over the role. Drama. Bess Armstrong plays this wife and mother to a teenage daughter in this critically acclaimed but short-lived series. The show only ran from August of 1994 until January of 1995, but won the lead actor a Golden Globe Award for 1985 for Best Performance by an Actress in a Drama Series. 2000s. The controlling and overbearing wife of Hal on this critically acclaimed Fox sitcom was the mother of 4 sons. The show ran from 2000 to 2006 and won a Peabody Award, 7 Emmys, 1 Grammy, and 7 Golden Globe nominations, among other honors. The drama? Widowed and trying to provide for her 2 teenage children, this mother turned to crime on a Showtime series that ran from 2005 to 2012. During the run of the show, the actor playing this role won the Satellite Award in 2005 and the Golden Globe in 2006. 2010s. Running from 2017 to the present on Amazon Prime, the actor who played John Cryer's ex-wife on 2.5 Men now plays the wife of Abe and the mother of 2 grown children, Miriam and Noah. Drama. It was a rough life for this wife of Stannis. Her husband was cheating on her with a red princess. She lost 3 children at birth, and then the only surviving daughter was killed during the run of this HBO show from 2012 to 2019.
All the answers for the swing round are locked in. We're going to throw it right back to James. And right before we do that, just make sure to join us over at The Crop on Facebook or at Twitter and Instagram at TrivialityPod to interact with other listeners and stay up to date on all Triviality news. Okay, James, let's hear these questions again. We'll give our answers.
So starting with the 70s sitcom, Wife of Howard, ABC sitcom, was the mother of Richie and Joni. What did you have, Saul Goodman?
Well, we knew that was Mrs. C, also known as Marion Cunningham.
From Happy Days.
For My Dear Voir Dire.
Yeah, we just, I'm just going to say it now. We played it safe because we were a little worried about some of these character names. And for the most part, we went only with the show titles. So for this one, we centered in on Happy Days.
3 points for My Dear Voir Dire, and Saul Goodman did have the correct answer. Marion Cunningham was played by Marion Ross. The drama. This was a Great Depression era show that was on CBS from 72 to 82, where the family lived on an ancestral mountain. My Dear Voir Dire.
This one I knew only based on the Great Depression family show, and I believe it's the Waltons. That's all we had.
Yeah, we weren't as sure. I thought this might have been a show about a tiny Hugh Laurie, and we said Little House on the Prairie.
Little House on the Prairie, I'm afraid, is incorrect. It was the Waltons. So Saul Goodman lose 1, and My Dear Voir Dire picks up another 3. Moving on to the 80s sitcom. This was a spinoff from a skit on a popular variety show from 83 to 84 on CBS and then in syndication. What did you have, Saul Goodman?
Oh, I don't even think we answered this one. I guess we're giving this the big old pass.
All right. You get a point for that.
Over here.
And points for nothing.
I know, right? Ken and I had a discussion. I think this is the actress Vicki Lawrence, funny comedic actress from Carol Burnett. I don't know the name of the show. I think I may have said it between Ken, but I just know that that's who it is, but I have no idea on anything else. So we're actually just going to tap because we couldn't come up with a good enough answer to wager points on.
So you also get one. It was Vicki Lawrence. She played Thelma Harper on Mama's Family. And that was a spinoff of the Carol Burnett show. The matriarch of a wealthy oil family in the 80s, the wife of Jock. What did you have, my dear Wadir?
We went back and forth between Dallas and Dynasty, and I think it came down to oil, and we sort of felt that was more Dallas, so that's what we went with.
We didn't even think of Dynasty. I just remember being on Dallas, and we said Dallas. That's all we got.
That is 3 points for each team. That was Miss Ellie Ewing, played by Barbara Bel Geddes. Moving on to the 90s. Part of ABC's Friday night lineup, it was a spinoff of Perfect Strangers, the wife of Carl. And what did you have, Saul Goodman?
This is one I actually knew. I believe that would be Harriet Winslow from Family Matters.
We knew it was Family Matters, and we knew it was a Winslow. We just couldn't remember which Winslow, but we didn't want to wager that, so we just said Family Matters.
Family Matters and Harriet Winslow are both correct. 3 for my dear Wadir, and 5 for Saul Goodman.
I have to get that one right. Any TGIF question, that's kind of my thing. So,
yeah, you'd lose your membership card.
I know.
The drama in the 90s, Bess Armstrong was this mother on a very critically acclaimed show. What did you have, my dear Wadir?
We had no idea on this one. The only dramas we could think of were My So-Called Life and some other ones that sounded familiar, but we just did not, as I said, we did not have the guts to go for the points if we got it or not. So we tapped on this one.
So we had the guts, and the only thing that sounded familiar from that time period that lasted just the 1 year was My So-Called Life. So we said My So-Called Life.
Risk worth taking. You get 3 points for that, plus 1 for my dear Wadir on the pass. Into the 2000s. Controlling and overbearing wife of Hal. She had 4 sons. What did you have, Saul Goodman?
So this is Malcolm in the Middle. And Jeff, what was the mom's name? You had the first name, right?
Well, that's the thing. Her name was Lois, and I can't for the life of me remember them having a last name. Nothing's coming to
guys. Me too. We've been going crazy about this.
Yeah, so we just locked in with Malcolm.
We just went with, yeah.
And we just went Malcolm in the Middle. We couldn't figure out if there was a last name or not, so that's what we went with.
And it's always that risk that is to get that extra 2 points. The last name was Wilkerson. Lois Wilkerson.
That doesn't even sound familiar, and I watched every episode of that show. I don't know how that happens.
Drama from the 2000s. Widow and trying to provide for 2 teenage children, this mother turned to crime on Showtime. What did you have, my dear Wadir?
Ken zeroed in on this one right away. We went with Weeds.
Yeah, I had recently just rewatched this, and I literally can't remember the name of the character, but we're pretty sure it's Weeds.
Weeds is the correct show. That was Mary Louise Parker, who played Nancy Botwin.
Yep.
So on to more recent history, the 2010s. Running from 2017 to the present on Amazon Prime, the actress who formerly played John Cryer's ex-wife on 2.5 Men is now the wife of Abe and 2 grown children on what show? Or did you have the name of the character? What did you have, Saul Goodman?
Well, not 100% sure. Just going with the show that Neal tells me that I have to check out all the time, and I still haven't. But we said Bosch.
I do say.
Does Neal tell you the show is marvelous?
Yeah.
No, he
you
didn't.
You do need to watch Bosch. That is for sure, especially living in LA now. But yeah, Colleen watches this show all the time. We've seen it a bunch. And I believe the character is Rose Weissman. And she's played by Maren Hinkle, and that would be the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
All right. So the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is correct, and Rose Weissman is also correct. So for 5 points for my dear Wadir, and -1 for Saul Goodman. And finally, it was a rough life for the wife of Stannis. Her husband was cheating, Tough Luck with Her Kids, HBO series 2012 to 2019. What did you have, my dear voir dire?
We went with the Game of Thrones.
I feel like having issues with her children's an understatement since her daughter was burned at the stake. But we said this was Selyse Baratheon of Game of Thrones.
Selyse Baratheon is in fact right, so both teams are correct. One team gets 5, one team gets 3.
After the swing round, it looks like we picked up a decent amount of points on both sides, bringing our scores to 78 for my dear voir dire and 96 for Saul Goodman. So we are ready for round 2, James.
All right. For the first question in round 2, start me up. This is a music question. What song was released in November of 1973 and still always begins on Saturday evening at 9 p.m.?
Yeah, so Neal and I had a brief discussion here. I think that Saturday at 9 p.m. is the start of the lyrics to the song in question. Neal said Saturday night's all right for fighting. I said, I just watched Rocket Man, so let's go for it.
Well, this show started in 1973, and it is on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. It's Saturday Night Live. But I didn't know if this show this theme song had a name, so we just said Saturday Night Live theme song.
Neither of you are getting points on this one. It is Piano Man by Billy Joel. It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday. The regular crowd shuffles in.
Matt's usually drunk when that song comes on in the bar, so...
We picked the wrong Piano Man.
Yeah, we did. You're right.
Question number 2, Paint It Black. It's an art question. This famous painting, commissioned around 1639, is 11.91 feet by 14.34 feet and is known for its dramatic use of light and shadow. It has a rather dark history, having been attacked in 1911 by a jobless shoemaker protesting his inability to find work, in 1975 by an unemployed school teacher with a bread knife who claimed he did it for the Lord, and in 1990 by an escaped psychiatric patient who sprayed acid onto the painting with a concealed bottle. Perhaps the Dutch boy should keep an eye on this work. What is the name of the painting?
Oh, yeah. Locked in.
You're locked in. Okay. So, Ken, this is what I'm thinking. I know I have a few ideas of what it could be, but there was was it a TV show I was watching or a movie? It was very strange, but it centered around, ironically, Hieronymus Bosch, who the character of Bosch is named after in the books in the series. He had a painting called The Garden of Earthly Delights, which is like a lot of really creepy stuff. And I don't remember what movie I was watching, but that's the only one I can think of that's like super big.
Bosch,
yeah. It looks like a David Lynch type painting for some reason. It's really weird.
You think the painting is The Garden of Earthly Delights?
I think that's what it's called.
Okay.
So when you're thinking paintings in Dutch, I'm thinking Rembrandt, and I couldn't think of any Rembrandt paintings, so I asked Jeff, do you know any? And he said The Night Watch, and I said, that sounds good. So we locked in with The Night Watch.
I've listened to so many episodes of this show, and it's amazing to think that we have a painting from 1639 and Neal is trying to get to it through a movie. That is just astonishing. However, Saul Goodman were the ones with the correct answer. It is The Night Watch. That was right. Dutch boy should keep an eye on it, so they should watch it. So Saul
I was
Goodman
trying to think of Rembrandt too. He's well known for his very dark paintings, and just couldn't quite remember who that was that I was thinking of. So
seems like he's mostly known for being the Dutch painter, because I can't think of anyone else.
You pretty much have a 50-50 shot. It's going to be Rembrandt or Vermeer. Those are the two.
There you go.
Question number 3. She's a rainbow. Pop culture. What misfit and LGBTQ icon was the first centerfold model for Playboy magazine in 1953?
We're locked in over here.
You do know your centerfolds. So you said Monroe.
That's just game theory since Neal locked in so fast that I know Neal's mom loves Marilyn.
Well, by all those accounts, that seems like a good answer then. Then we're going to say Marilyn Monroe.
We went a little different direction. We went Norma Jean Mortensen, but then I think just for the sake of the game, we'll say Marilyn Monroe too.
Anyway, both teams get credit for that one. It is Marilyn Monroe. Going on. Our next question is number 4, Street Fighting Man, Literature. What 1961 war novel begins with the line, "It was love at first sight"? You are required to take a guess at this answer unless you're crazy. But you'd have to be crazy to just guess if you don't know the answer. But if you say it's crazy to just guess and you don't, then you aren't crazy, and therefore you have to guess.
Okay. Locked in.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I get it. I think I get the hint.
How many hints were there? A certain number.
I see what you mean. It's a catch-22 if you're crazy if you guess, but you don't guess. It's catch-22. Right, Neal?
Yeah, it recalled some Kesby Nights, so let's go with catch-22.
Yep.
All right.
We agreed it's catch-22.
Catch-22 is, in fact, your answer. So each team gets 10 on that one as well. Moving on to question number 5. You can't always get what you want. Your category is movies. A Macguffin is an object or device in a movie or book that serves merely as a trigger for the plot. One of the most famous Macguffins in movie history, what title item is described in the final line of this 1941 film as, quote, "the stuff dreams are made of," end of quotation.
LOL.
Neal and I will lock in.
It was funny when you said MacGuffin, I immediately texted Jeff Maltese Falcon. And I was like, all right, maybe it's the answer. It's the answer. And then, 1941, thinking that's the Maltese Falcon.
And I think inside the briefcase in Pulp Fiction is actually the Maltese Falcon. So we also said Maltese Falcon.
I've actually heard that theory as well, that the Maltese Falcon is what is inside the briefcase. And you are both correct. You get 10 points each for the Maltese Falcon.
Oh, well, thank you, James. It looks like we can do a score recap. So it looks like picking up 40 points right there is going to be Team Saul Goodmen, bringing their total to 136, I believe. And Team, I forgot her name there for a second, My Dear Voir Dire picks up 30 points, bringing our total to 108.
So moving on to the last half of the second round. Living in a ghost town. Geography. Pripyat, spelled Pripyat, was a city of almost 50,000 people in 1986. The official population as of today is 0. What caused the abandonment of this once prosperous community?
Okay, so you're locked in. The timeline kind of lines up with this, right around the Chernobyl incident, right? Does that make sense, Jeff?
Yep, I agree with that.
So radioactive dogs is the answer we're going with. No, we'll say Chernobyl, the Chernobyl meltdown.
And we also said Chernobyl.
Points all around. It is Chernobyl was the disaster. Pripyat was the community right beside where the nuclear plant was.
Jeff, I remember you told me I was looking for some sort of light viewing on TV to sort of bring my mood up in the summer here, and I remember you recommended Chernobyl, so not exactly what I was looking for, but I appreciate it.
My reputation as Debbie Downer precedes me.
Moving on to question number 7. The category is famous women, and the song is Satisfaction. Helen Keller was born in 1880. And at 19 months old contracted an illness which left her deaf and blind. Her life was the basis of the play and movie The Miracle Worker, in which it showed how she learned to speak. In 1920, she also helped found what major advocacy organization protecting free speech that is still active today?
You know this one, Jeff?
We're going to lock in over here.
I'm not sure if I got a clue on this one. But we said, does ACLU sound good for you?
I mean, yeah, American Civil Liberties Union, they tend to be the ones involved with free speech. I'm pretty sure they're the ones on Futurama that step up to protect Zoidberg after he eats the flag. So,
well, if that's not right, then I don't want to be right. So we're gonna lock in with ACLU.
I would have eaten a flag had I not used my organs to hoist a flag made of my own skin. We also said ACLU.
ACLU is correct. 10 points for each side. and perhaps I shouldn't have said anything about Neal getting points off movies if you guys are going to use Futurama to get Helen Keller ACLU reference right. But that is correct. She is so cold. Question number 8 is historical geography. The lyrics to the James Bond Goldfinger theme song refer to the man with the Midas touch and continue with the labored rhyme, such a cold finger. Midas is believed to be an historical king who lived sometime in the 2nd millennium BCE. A second king by the same name lived in the 8th century BCE and is referred to in Assyrian texts. A third king Midas was referred to by Herodotus. They all ruled the same ancient country. What is that country called?
I'm going to apologize, Ken, because as soon as he said Goldfinger, and anytime I see the poster or hear the name Goldfinger, all I hear is Shirley Bassey going, Goldfinger! And then I don't think of anything else. So I'm going to leave this one to you.
All right, we can lock in then, I guess.
So which region are you thinking this is in, Jeff?
I'm pretty sure it's maybe like Greek.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the like Peloponnesian area.
Yeah, I was thinking that, or maybe Persian. But you texted me Macedonia. Why do you think?
Which is just north of there. So
Okay.
I don't know, and maybe it's just alliteration. I'm not sure.
Oh, Midas from Macedonia.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're being honest.
Have you
so
met my
just-
cousin Midas from Macedonia?
He's really got the touch.
What a mensch. Yeah, I like Macedonia. Let's do that. We're locked in.
Locking in with Macedonia and my dear Wadir.
Yeah, pretty much just tossing this out there, but we're just going to say Babylon.
Babylon. If you would go between you would get closer. It's in modern-day Turkey, but the country was called Phrygia.
Oh.
The first king Midas's father was Gordius, who was the person who had the Gordian knot that Alexander cut when he was going to take Asia. But Phrygia is the correct answer. And I tried to kind of steer you that way with she's so cold and such a cold finger, because that was
actually go to the Phrygia now and go get a quick snack if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Your category for question number 9 is architecture. Gimme shelter. Located near Asheville, North Carolina, the largest privately owned home in the U.S. was built by one of America's richest families at the time and is still owned by their descendants, although not Anderson Cooper. In hindsight, I guess they could have constructed less of a structure. What is the name of this house?
We're good, Matt.
Okay.
All right. I think I have an idea, Ken, but you let me know what you think first, and I'll tell you what I think.
I picked up on a hint that he said they could have constructed less of a house. Just brings my mind to the name Morehouse. I don't know if that's anything. And then I think there was something about the Winchester heirs, or maybe Smith and Wesson heirs. They built some kind of crazy house, and that's all I got. So
okay. So
what do you think, Neal?
What you said is definitely jiving with what I said, and James will make fun of me, but many films have been filmed either at this place, if I'm thinking the right place, at this place or around this place. And now that you said Moore, I believe it's the Biltmore house, which would make sense with the joke. So I'm pretty sure it's the Biltmore house.
It's funny that Neal would come to it from film. Yeah, Anderson Cooper is a Vanderbilt, in case anybody was curious. But yeah, we happen to know that this is the Biltmore estate, so we said Biltmore.
Biltmore is correct, 10 points for each team. And it's Vanderbilt, so that's where the Bilt comes from, and Moore. So those were both correct. You picked up on everything there. The final question in the second round, waiting on a friend. Category is in animals. Pride is a deadly sin. However, this animal must certainly take pride in the fact it can hold its breath for up to 40 minutes. Living in the tropical rainforest, of South and Central America and normally living in trees, it can move up to 3 times as fast in the water as on land. What is this animal?
God, this super animal will kill us all.
Man, that took so many turns. Seriously, what the hell?
So, Ken, you tell me what you think.
So if you genetically modified a jaguar and crossbred it with a crocodile.
A jaguacodile?
A jaguacodile, yeah, that's right.
With the strongest bite radius of any animal.
Yeah.
I believe that was the Aztec equivalent of a Giffin.
Yeah, there you go.
Was the
Giffin,
Jaguacodile.
I think a Giffin was also the third member of DreamWorks SKG. That's a weird Hollywood joke. But
what about like an anaconda?
I don't want none unless you got some, Ken.
Yeah, where's the pride hint come in with the anaconda?
Oh, okay. This could be really wrong, but could it be as easy as pride is a what's it called? 7 deadly sin. So it could be sloth.
I don't think sloths can hold their breath for 40 minutes.
My friend Sting the sloth
Why
can.
would they be faster in the water though?
They can't be any slower.
Well, I'm thinking if they're if they're slow on land.
When you really put them to the test and you put them in water, they're like, "Let me get out of here."
Well, it's either this or death.
Well, they're so slow on land that maybe when they're in water, it like the water pressure, whatever, like when people go to work out in water, because it makes their limbs lighter so they can move faster. I have no idea. I'm not a scientist.
You mean buoyancy?
All right, I just like this line of thinking. It's a little insane, so let's say sloth.
You're going with sloth? Yeah, we didn't know. We know that sometimes snakes spend some time in trees, so we went with the Eric Stoltz classic Anaconda.
Anaconda for Saul Goodman and sloth for My Dear Voir Dire. One team points here. It is My Dear Voir Dire. It is the sloth.
Wow. Oh, man.
I ran across the other day that sloths can hold their breath for 40 minutes and started doing some other stuff. I didn't really intend to trip you up with pride. It was the deadly sin that was the clue there. So good work by My Dear Voir Dire, and you pick up 10 on that last question of regulation.
Looks
Just
like
getting that is.
Go ahead, Jafe. Or Jafe. Go ahead, Jafe.
What's up, Jay?
Oh, I figured we were at the end and we were going to get a score recap going into the final.
I was going to say, just getting that, though, you guys. Good work.
Thank you, Jeff.
That was worth it.
Yes.
I threw my headset down. Like, what the
the Hollywood music goes dun, 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 the big line for the hero. It was good job, guys. Good work. Close up on the rock. He just killed someone. Good work. Good work, guys. Okay, sorry.
The reaction shot.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Jake. Good job, guys.
All right. So that score recap, as James mentioned, 148 for my Dear Voir Dire. So we're kind of catching up here to Team Saul Goodman with 166. So those are our points going into the final round. And right before we go there, very, very special thank you to James for being a Universal Champion on Patreon. It means a ton to all of us, especially during this difficult time. So we appreciate James for that. And also, if you'd like to join him in getting extra perks like 30 hours of audio, character boxes, posters, stickers, things like that, you can go to patreon.com/Triviality Podcasts. And today, we thank you very much, James, for your support.
Well, thank you guys for everything you do. I know how much work you guys put into each and every episode, and watching it here in person makes it even more impressive. And thank you guys for everything. We in the listening public appreciate it a lot.
As DJ Khaled would say, you're smart, you're loyal. I appreciate you. Now let's get those final round categories.
All right, for your final round, your 5 categories are as follows: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy.
All the wagers are locked in, and just for the audience at home, just to keep it simple, Team My Dear Voir Dire going 15s all the way down, and Team Saul Goodman calling their shot. They're going 30 all the way down. So we're going to see what happens after this final round, and it's going to be the decision maker here. So, James, feel free to give us those questions.
Category 1 is Genesis. The word Genesis derives from the phrase, the generation of heaven and earth. The King James Version of the Bible starts, in the beginning. Baseball enthusiasts believe this shows that their sport is more blessed because the Bible starts in the big inning. In Major League Baseball, the big inning would be this inning, where statistically more runs are scored than in any other. There is some conventional wisdom to the answer, but at worst, you have a 1 in 9 shot. Exodus. The book of Exodus describes the relocation of the Israelites from Egypt, ultimately arriving in the Promised Land. Between 1830 and 1850, the U.S. government forcibly relocated more than 60,000 Native Americans from their ancestral homelands in the southeast U.S. to areas west of the Mississippi. Many thousands died during this removal, leading to the incident being called the Trail of Tears. Many different tribes were affected. Name 2 of the 6 tribes that had the greatest loss of life during the relocations. Leviticus. The instructions of Leviticus emphasize ritual, legal, and moral practices rather than beliefs. These laws have governed the Jewish people for thousands of years. Thought to be the oldest set of laws in England still in use, they were passed by Parliament in 1267 under the rule of Henry III, and these laws comprise 29 chapters, 4 of which are still in force as of 2020. This was well before the exploration of the New World, so likely didn't contain any provision about tobacco use. What is this set of laws called? Numbers. One of the most famous numbers is pi, the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter. What Greek mathematician is credited with creating an algorithm approximating the ratio around 250 BCE? And finally, Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy is the 5th book in the Torah, but the name actually comes from the Greek title for the book. What does Deuteronomy mean?
Okay, we'll go over these questions and be back with our answers. After some deliberation, all the answers are now locked in, so we'll throw it back to James to go over these questions and give our answers to see who will be today's cream of the crop.
The first question was Genesis, and we talked about the big inning. What is the big inning in Major League Baseball where more runs are scored than any other? Saul Goodman, what did you come up with?
So not 100% sure. My thinking behind this was this would be an inning when you generally have your heart of your lineup or your bigger hitters, and then you've already gone through the lineup once, so you've already seen the pitcher. So we thought that this might be the 4th inning. So we said the 4th inning.
Good reasoning. We just kind of figured when everybody's fresh, it's the 1st inning, and they come out swinging. So 1st inning.
My dear voir dire is correct. It is generally thought to be so because each team is assured that one time of having their best hitters come to the plate. It is the 1st inning. The second question was Exodus, and this was the Trail of Tears, where more than 60,000 Native Americans were removed from their ancestral homelands west of the Mississippi. What were 2 of the 6 tribes that had the greatest loss of life? My dear voir dire, what did you guys come up with?
We said the Sioux and the Cherokee.
Yeah, for this one, we thought, coming from Florida, it might have been Seminoles, and then we also said the Cherokee. So Seminoles and Cherokee.
Cherokee is correct, as is Seminole. The Sioux actually were located in the northern Great Plains. The other ones affected were the Creek, the Chickasaw, the Choctaw, and the Ponca were the other tribes that were greatest affected by that.
It looks like both teams are even, so let's get the 3rd one.
Leviticus, the oldest laws in England, passed by Parliament in 1267, 4 chapters of which are still good in 2020. This was before the exploration of the New World, so likely didn't contain any provisions about tobacco use. Saul Goodman, what did you come up with for that?
This is something I learned in one of my very many law classes I took for paralegal school years and years ago, but it stuck with me because it's a funny name, and my dad used to collect miles from this brand. I believe it's the Statute of Marlborough.
We picked up on the smoking hint as well, but we didn't have that much foreknowledge, so we just said the pipe laws.
Saul Goodman, that is an incredibly good answer. It is the Statute of Marlborough. That was an impressive answer.
It's funny, when I was a kid, all of our luggage was Marlboro brand because my dad used to rip the miles off the packs or whatever. And I went to like a 5th grade sleepover thing, and they're like, "Why do you have a Marlboro bag?" It's like, that's all we had. My dad loved smoking.
And then he put his cowboy hat on and took out a cigarette. He said, "Because I'm Marlboro man."
All right, moving on to numbers. Pi is one of the most famous numbers. It's the ratio of the circumference of a circle to its diameter. What Greek mathematician is credited with creating an algorithm approximating that ratio around 250 BC?
Pretty sure, in addition to coming up with a principle for buoyancy, he was responsible for figuring out the algorithm for pi. So we said Archimedes.
And what did my dear voir dire come up with?
And when you put me to a question about a really, really, really old mathematician, either say Pythagoras or Euclid, this time we said Euclid.
Euclid did form a lot of geometry, but this particular algorithm was created by Archimedes. So Saul Goodman is correct.
Did he win the Fields Medal, though, is the real question.
Obviously.
The Fields Medal.
The final question is Deuteronomy. It's the 5th book in the Torah, but the word comes from the Greek title for the book. What does Deuteronomy mean?
No idea on this one, so we just said astronomy.
And Saul Goodman.
Yeah, I don't know if Deuteronomy was the 5th book. I thought this might have been the 5th sequel, and we said Deuteronomy, where's my car?
Neither of those two are correct. We'll both be taking away some points for that. Deutero is second or retelling, and it is the second law, copy of the law, or retelling of the law. So Deuteronomy is basically the second law or copy of the law. So no points on that one.
I like how I made fun of Neal for saying that it might have something to do with 2 because of French, and then sure enough it does.
That's usually what happens. But I have only one thing to say to you, Jeff, because of your performance today. Good work. Okay. So after regulation and the final round, it looks like team My Dear Voir Dire did not have the strength to pull it out. We ended with 103, but with 196 points. Today's cream of the crop, Saul Goodman.
The cream of the crop!
I'd like to thank Jeff for sometimes texting me back. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're most welcome.
Thank you for that game, James. We appreciate it. It was incredibly well written, a lot of great details. And I was telling Ken as we were deliberating on one of the questions that you truly are a good lawyer because there were so many details that we just had to look for and make sure that we're in there. And that's all it took for us to get some right answers at certain times.
There were a couple of those you guys pulled that were very impressive. I'm extraordinarily impressed with the scores both teams came up with. Those were a lot higher than what I expected. So that was well done by all of you.
Yeah, well, you know what they say.
Yeah.
Right, Neal? A broken clock's right twice a day. So,
Neal, you know what they say. Good job.
Good job. Good work. You know what they say, that the meaning of the universe. Good work.
A real catch-22 there.
So, James, you said you had some shout-outs before you part us. Any last words, shout-outs, things like that for us?
Absolutely. First of all, I want to thank Crystal Vega, Louis Duras, Matt Coleman, Sarah Hines, Troy Osborne, Dave Nelson, Emily Barkley, Haley Strock, JP Adams, and Matt Kirk, all who play tested this game at 2 different times. And they were instrumental in revising, revamping a lot of those questions. I appreciate those guys over at the Crop and all the time and effort they spent to help make this go better for you guys. Again, I wanted to say that the reason I got into hosting trivia was through Kansas Legal Services. And basically every state or every district has a legal services corporation. And what they do is provide services to people who need it the most, those who are most at risk, who are having problems with landlords or are victims of violence. And whenever it's a civil proceeding, you don't have a constitutional right to an attorney like you do in a criminal case. And many times, legal services across the country are the ones that provide that help to the people most in need. So if you ever have an opportunity, reach out and help those organizations whenever you get a chance. They are absolutely on the front line of trying to protect the most poor and at risk. And also thanks to my wife, Tracy, my kids, Joel and Alex, who also play tested this game and who have been nice enough to let me slip away for several evenings so I can do all of this in practice. And thanks again to you guys for letting me do this and for all the work you do. It has helped during this pandemic to have familiar voices that you can turn to as everything else is kind of turned upside down. So thank you guys very much.
Well, thank you. That message is heard loud and clear, and we totally agree with all those wonderful organizations. And thanks to all the members of the crop who helped out James with the play testing. We appreciate your support. We're going to try and do that a little bit more with guest hosts. Feel free to reach out if you're hosting an upcoming game and get some crop members to help play test it. But James, we had a wonderful time. We super appreciate the fact that you're a Patreon supporter, and it's certainly helpful, especially during this difficult time. So on behalf of Matt, Jeff, Ken, myself, James, and all we want to wish all of you out there is good job, good work. And that was Triviality.
I noticed you're doing all Rolling Stones songs.
That is correct.
Is that what's happening? So Jeff, what's your favorite Rolling Stones song? And make sure you don't mess this up because you got a girlfriend now.
It's true. Painted Black. Damn it. I got it wrong.
Angie.
Good thing she doesn't listen to this show because she hates that song.
I thought you were going to say because she hates the show. Like, wow.
I mean, that too. But.
It's probably true, but come on.